Good day, everyone, and welcome back to Clean Cut EDC. Today, we are talking about the Gerber Paralite. This is kind of a cool looking knife, right? I must say, this knife did grow on me since the unboxing. During the unboxing, this thing really frustrated me because it was so extraordinarily stiff when I wanted to deploy this. I nearly couldn't pull this out, like slip joint style, right? Let alone even attempt to flick it. But now, look at that. It actually has a pretty snappy action, and it has turned into quite a little fidget monster. It's still obviously not the best, but it's pretty quick deployment wise. I did adjust the pivot just a little bit, and I also did oil it and just clean it out slightly, and then yeah, it broke in quite nicely. And I must say, I'm quite impressed. I still can't really reverse flick this knife, but to thumb flick it is a no-brainer. It is super easy. Yes, definitely love the rose gold. Even though this is, they describe it as being rose gold, but this is honestly a little bit more yellow than it is red, actually. So, yeah, it's fantastic. Really love this knife. I can live with the clip for the price, right? Let's just quickly talk about the price. The price on these guys, well, it differs. These came in from America. I don't know if they are American made, but they came from a shipment from America. So I'm not 100% sure. Oh, I did reverse flick it there. No, it is in fact made in China. These Gerbers, the Paralite. And, I get the idea behind having, framed scales like these with the cutouts and everything, because you want to keep the durability, you want to keep the frame lock, which is a terrific lock. Look at that, huh? Reverse flick. Nice. You want to keep that frame lock, which is done very well on these knives, I must say. And you want to keep the durability that comes with a metal scale, which is fantastic. But you also want to drop the weight. So I believe that they did it well here. It's still extremely functional. It's quite, comfortable in hand. It's not the best, but for a metal scaled knife in the, sub 500 Rand mark, which is what these guys go for, is anything below 500, between like 350 to 500 Rand is what they usually go for. So yeah, in that range, not too bad at all. The blade steel is a easy to sharpen 5CR15 blade steel. So yes, you're going to take this knife to the strop quite often. I have to say that. It's definitely not the best blade steel in the world. Quite stain resistant, I must add that. But edge retention wise, yeah, not the best, eh? Not the best at all. So this knife actually has a hollow grind, which does make it quite slicey, and the coating on the blade holds up fantastically well. So there's that going for it. Pocket clip, deep carry pocket clip, only right side tip down, which yeah, is not something that most people really use. I think most people are tip up people, right hand side. So that means that the clip should be turned around and should be sitting on this side. But with that being said, what this does with the frame lock is actually it provides a very specific function, right? Because now, and you guys need to bear with me here, but okay, let me just get another frame lock knife. Okay, so this is the Concept Mini Cryo, and you'll see here that with this frame lock, the pocket clip is not running over the locking area. So if I were to deploy this knife, the way I position my hands is going to be on, well, not so much with this particular model, but if I'm going for the thumb flick on this knife, the way I position my fingers is going to be on the part of the frame which is responsible for pressing the detent ball into the blade that keeps the blade closed, right? So in a sense, I will be working against myself, and that is actually why I do fail this little cryo when it comes to thumb flicking it often. I need to reposition my fingers, and then I can actually do it. But if I keep my fingers in this position, yeah, it does work because the cryo is magical, but you can see there I do sometimes fail it. So because I'm working against myself. I'm pressing the detent ball into the blade, which is supposed to keep the blade in the closed position, right? So with that being said, the Gerber has solved this problem that we sometimes find. I mean, the cryo really doesn't have that problem because yeah, there's some other design aspects that get rid of that. But if you've seen my rake P801 SF video, then you know what I'm talking about. But with this, with the pocket clip hanging over the frame lock area, your fingers are actively resting on the pocket clip instead of on the frame lock, which means that the detent ball is not getting pressed into the actual blade, right? So they've solved that problem. So you're not working against yourself when you're trying to deploy this knife, which is fantastic. I think with the design of this, you know, it's a sub 500 rand, which is in dollars, how much? Which is around $20 to $25 in America. It's probably going to cost you, yeah, along those lines, along the $20 mark. I think you can probably get them for a little bit cheaper in America, but here in South Africa, you're going to get them at that $20 mark, which means that is about 400 rand, around that mark. So yeah, okay. Design wise, I definitely like this more of a pen shaped blade. It is sort of a drop point style blade, but the drop happens quite late, so it does create this pen style blade shape, which actually adds significant strength to the tip, right? Because there's a lot backing this tip. It's not such a fine and acute tip, so the piercing quality isn't going to be phenomenal. But with this pen shape, you actually also get sort of a little bit of the benefits that you get from a spear point blade shape. So there is a lot of tip strength. It's just not a fine tip that you can use for nitty gritty small tasks, right? Hollow grind on the blade, coated with this golden coating, which I kind of like. I guess there are people out there who won't enjoy this look, but then this is maybe just not the knife for you. But I definitely like the gold with the black. Definitely has a cool look to it. Hollow grind, super slicey. And what's interesting here is we get this little, you know, at the plunge grind. The plunge grind in itself is actually done quite well. But then the blade, yes, it doesn't run all the way to the plunge grind, and there are reasons for that. But I feel that they should have maybe just increased this little cutout and just make a choil. Just even if it's just a small little choil, right? It would make the sharpening process a lot easier. It would maybe increase just the length of the blade also a little bit. And yeah, I think it just looks a little bit awkward. It looks undone, in a sense, what's going on here. So don't really get what this is for now. You know, they could have left that, because I can't really use this as a choil. I mean, I can maybe creep up a little bit, but it's not really functional. So either make it completely functional or give me a longer blade. Yeah, I think that's a reasonable thing to ask. So yeah, fantastic scales. I really like these. You know, as I mentioned, the blade is 5CR, so you will take it to the strop often or to the sharpening system. Quite a nice little stopping pin right there. That's actually quite a large stopping pin. This knife is definitely built to last, right? I am very confident that this knife will last a long time. Especially, just everything on this knife is terrific build quality. Yes, it's not a fidget monster. It's not really your fidgety friend. But the lockup is solid. This thing doesn't move at all. The tolerances on this knife is you know, 1,000 rand, 1,200, 1,300 rand upwards. That's the quality of bolt that you get when it comes to the lockup on this knife. Does run on washers, and they are phosphor bronze washers, as far as I can see. So that's fantastic. You know, the lockup is good. The deployment is not good at the start, but it's super snappy once it breaks in, right? Definitely okay in the area of decompressing this frame lock. It's not the most comfortable thing that I've ever done. When I compare it to something like this, yeah, you know, this is where the money comes in. You get that little chamfered area on the titanium scale, which just leads to a terrific decompressing of this frame lock, right? So comfortable to get in there, which is not something you get on the Gerber at all. But I mean, this is not meant to be a fidget knife. So this is that knife that you open a few times a day, not straight after, you know, not constantly opening and closing, just a few times a day as you are using it. So yeah, the frame, let's just see the weight on this guy, because the frame is built super solid. Those are thick scales right there. So extremely durable. They did try to cut the weight down with by, you know, cutting out this frame, and let's just see what the effect was of that, because this is still quite a heavy knife. Okay, let's test it out. Okay, 100 grams, 98 grams, 99 grams, about 100 grams. So it's not the heaviest knife. I have to say I expected it to be around 110, just the way it feels. 100 grams is actually pretty light, right? That's anything between 100 and 120 grams is sort of in my area of EDC. I do get a full forefinger grip. My pinky is not hanging on the edge. So it's not the smallest knife in the world. When compared to something like the Pickled Steel Akal, the Akal is slightly bigger than the Paralite. And the weight on the Akal is going to be 103 grams. Yeah, so yeah, 103 grams, which is a terrific EDC weight. So yes, I do appreciate, the little bit of an extra length on the scale and blade you get with the Akal, but it's not that much more than the Gerber, and you get about the same weight, right? Now the Akal obviously has thick stainless steel liners, which is about the same size as the scales. Yeah, about the same thickness as the scales on the Gerber. So I mean, you get that durability from the liners as well as the durability of the micarta, whereas with this you just get the durability of the scales, but still very well done. Definitely a fantastic build on this knife. Sorry everyone, so yeah, that's South Africa for you. We have many awesome things here, but we also have many awful things here. Yeah, so the other day a friend of mine asked me, he said, "Hey Riku, I want to get my wife a metal scaled knife, right? I want to get her a metal scaled knife." And he mentioned a few knives that he was looking at. And I said, maybe rather look at the Gerber Paralite, right? Because it has washers. It has this wonderful flow-through construction. Love the standoffs, beautifully coated standoffs there. It's built like a little tank. I have to say, I'm very confident that if I drop this knife from a 5 to 6 story, building, it's gonna land and it's just gonna keep going. It might have a scratch or something, but I'm very confident that this thing is not gonna fall apart on you. Yeah, so it's reliable, it's very easy to maintain, and it's very easy to clean because, the washers, they keep the dirt out. Unlike ball bearings, with ball bearings, you sort of do have to be a little bit more careful when it comes to using it in the dirt. And when I'm talking about the dirt, I'm talking about the handbag, right? This thing is going to roll around in a handbag alongside all the makeup and everything. So you want something that you can keep clean, or at least clean easily if that does happen. And if you're not looking at a self-defense knife, meaning a speed-assisted or a automatic knife, then you are going to look at something that your wife is probably going to be opening with 2 hands anyway. So this will do the job fine. The only issue that I have with the Gerber Paralite is the blade steel. I feel that for the price, we should really be moving more towards HCR. At least at this stage, we should really be at the level of HCR. For many people who are knife enthusiasts, you're going to have a tough time dealing with this blade steel. If you are used to, DOW knives or Opinel or, Okapis or something like that, this steel will be just fine, right? But if you are more used to Enlin, Pickled Steel, Honey Badger, 14C28N, HCR, D2 blade steel, 154 cm, that sort of thing, then yeah, the steel is going to not be your friend at all, because it will go dull quite easily. It's not brittle, so it won't break quite easily, and it will be stain resistant, to the max, but it will not last in the area of edge retention quite well. So let's just do a quick size comparison. I have been rambling on in this video a lot, but we are almost done. Quick size comparison: the Pickled Steel Viper, the Spyderco Tenacious. You can see it's a little bit shorter than both of them. Okay, then we have the Spyderco Delica, which is about exactly the same size. So it's about the size of a Delica. So if you own a Delica, then you probably will know what the size is like. The Concept Mini Cryo Titanium is like a centimeter smaller. And then let's do a last one, a last quick one. Let's go with the Nebula from Pickled Steel, which is an awesome knife. Flip, I love that thing. And the large Honey Badger from Honey Badger. So there we go. Right, so you get a fair idea of what the size is like. It's not a small knife, get a full 4-finger grip, not hanging on the edge at all. It's fairly comfortable in hand. It's a just okay knife, right? The action is fine-ish. It's a well-built knife. The build quality on this thing is far above its price range, but the materials are not. And for that reason, I would have to say that I do believe you can spend your money a little bit better than the Gerber Paralite. If you bump up with 100 Rand, right? If you take the money that you're going to be spending on a strop or a sharpening system to maintain this knife, then I'd say rather spend that on another knife, something more along the lines of a 600 Rand knife. If you go 600 Rand, you can get yourself a medium Honey Badger. You might be able to even get yourself a Pickled Steel knife. So that's that's fantastic, right? But if you like the looks of this, and if you like the fact that it's in a sense easy to keep clean, I definitely would say fantastic knife to have. I love the hollow grind. It's super slicey, good for food prep, all of that. It's just the blade steel that is a little bit on the bad side. Right, guys, have a great day. Have a knife day. And remember that no knife means no life.